I broke up with my fiancé. A year later, I found out he was truthful and everyone else lied. What would you do if everything you thought you knew about love was a lie? A year ago, I was about to marry the love of my life. We had it all: the dream wedding, a future together. But then, my sister dropped a bombshell. She accused my fiancé of betraying me. And the worst part, everyone I trusted confirmed it. But what if everything was a lie? In this video, I'll share how a devastating lie tore us apart and how we fought to find the truth. But what happens when the truth hurts more than the lie? Stay tuned for the emotional roller coaster that led me to a second chance. Or was it a second heartbreak? This story will make you question everything you thought you knew about love and trust. Don't go anywhere. Let's dive in. A year ago, I was on the verge of marrying my fiancé, Stan. We were both so happy, excitedly planning our future together. Every day felt like a dream, picking out venues, talking about honeymoon destinations, even discussing what we'd name our future kids. I truly believed I had found the person I was meant to spend my life with. Then, everything fell apart. It was a quiet evening when my sister Jenny came to see me. She looked different, serious, nervous, like she was holding something heavy inside. I could tell something was wrong just by the way she hesitated at the doorway, wringing her hands. "I need to tell you something," she said finally, her voice trembling. I looked up from the notes I had been making for the wedding and felt a sudden unease. "What is it?" I asked, already sensing this wasn't going to be good. She took a deep breath, her eyes shining with unshed tears. "It's about Stan," she said, pausing for a moment. "He tried to kiss me. For a second, I couldn't speak. My mind refused to understand what I had just heard. "What?" I finally said, my heart beginning to race. "That can't be true. I'm sorry," she continued, her voice breaking. "But it happened. He flirted with me, and then he leaned in and tried to kiss me. I pulled away, but it was clear what he was trying to do." I stared at her, completely shocked. This didn't sound like the Stan I knew. He had never given me any reason to doubt him. But Jenny looked so shaken, so upset. Could she really be making this up? Before I could ask more questions, my parents and brother Mike entered the room. Their expressions were grim. "We saw it," Dad said firmly, stepping forward. "We were all there. We kicked him out right after it happened." "Stan's not who you think he is," Mom added, her voice full of concern. "You deserve better than someone who would betray you like that." My mind was spinning. I didn't know what to think. I was confused, hurt, and overwhelmed. The image of Stan, the man I loved, doing something so awful felt impossible to believe. But why would my whole family lie about something so serious? Still, I needed to hear it from him. I called Stan over and confronted him about what they had said. He looked completely stunned. "I didn't do anything," he exclaimed, his face flushing with anger and disbelief. "They're lying. Why would I do that to you?" "They all saw it," I said softly, my voice shaking. Tears rolled down my cheeks. "I don't know who to believe anymore." "Believe me," he said desperately, grabbing my hands. "I love you. I would never, ever hurt you. Please, you know me better than this." I wanted to believe him. I really did. But the doubt, the confusion, the pain, it was all too much. My family's words echoed in my head. What if they were right? What if Stan had betrayed me and I ignored it? I broke up with him. It was one of the hardest decisions I've ever made. He didn't take it well. He kept pleading with me, asking me to trust him. Tears filled his eyes, and I could see the heartbreak written all over his face. He nearly punched the wall in frustration before storming out. At the time, I felt sick, conflicted, and completely shattered. I couldn't understand how everything had gone so wrong, so quickly. The months that followed were painful. I tried to move on, but the hurt lingered. I missed him. I missed the life we were supposed to have. And still, something about the whole situation never sat right with me. Then, one day, everything changed again. My brother Mike came to visit. He looked uncomfortable, fidgeting as he sat down across from me. He wouldn't meet my eyes. "I need to tell you something," he said, almost in a whisper. I felt a sense of dread settle in my stomach. "What is it?" I asked cautiously. He hesitated, then finally spoke. "That stuff about Stan, it wasn't true." I froze, staring at him. "What do you mean?" "We made it up," he admitted, looking down at the floor. "All of us." I felt like the air had been knocked out of me. "Why? Why would you do something like that?" "It was Dad," Mike said, sighing heavily. "He told us to. He had an affair with Stan's mom years ago, a long time before you met him. He suspected Stan might be his son, and he didn't want anyone to find out. He was afraid the truth would come out if you two got married. So, he told us to make you break up with him." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My family, the people I had trusted the most, had lied to me. They had destroyed my relationship, broken my heart, and taken away the life I had planned, all to hide a secret that had nothing to do with me. I didn't know what to say. I just sat there, stunned, trying to process everything. The pain of the breakup suddenly came rushing back, heavier than before, because now I knew it didn't have to happen. Stan hadn't betrayed me. My family had. "You all lied to me? To protect Dad's secret? I asked, my voice shaking with anger and disbelief. Mike nodded slowly, not able to meet my eyes. He looked ashamed. I'm sorry, he said quietly. I wanted to tell you sooner, but Dad made us promise. He was really scared of the truth coming out. I felt a surge of emotions all at once. Anger, betrayal, sadness, confusion. My heart ached. I need to talk to Stan, I said, standing up and reaching for my phone. But as I stared at the screen, I hesitated. What would I even say? After everything, would he even want to hear from me? That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about Stan, how he looked when I told him I didn't believe him, how heartbroken and frustrated he was. The memory of his voice begging me to trust him haunted me, so I decided to write him a letter. I needed to explain everything. I needed him to know the truth, that it wasn't his fault, that it never was, that I was sorry for not believing in him when it mattered the most. I poured my heart into the letter, writing and rewriting until the words felt right. Dear Stan, I owe you an apology, a deep, honest apology from the bottom of my heart. I found out the truth about why we broke up. It was never your fault. It was all a lie made up by my family to protect a secret my father was hiding. He thought you might be his son, and instead of facing the truth, he asked everyone to lie to me, and I believed them. I believed them over you. I'm so sorry for not trusting you, for walking away, for all the pain I caused you. Please, can we meet and talk? I don't expect things to go back to how they were overnight, but I still love you. I never stopped. Love me. I sealed the envelope, wrote his name on the front, and mailed it the next morning. And then, all I could do was wait. Each day that passed felt like a year. I kept checking the mailbox, hoping for a sign that he had read it, that maybe, just maybe, he would write back. My heart was constantly on edge, and then, one afternoon, a letter finally arrived. My hands trembled as I opened it, afraid of what he might say. Dear love, I was hurt, deeply hurt, and honestly, I'm still angry. What happened broke something inside me. I kept wondering what I did wrong, why you stopped believing in me, but your letter meant something to me. I can see you're being honest, and I want to hear you out. Let's meet and talk. Stan. I read the letter 3 times, tears building in my eyes. He was giving me a chance, a real chance, to explain. We met at a quiet cafe a few days later. When I saw him, my heart jumped. He looked the same, but also different. More guarded, more serious. Still, just seeing his face brought back a rush of memories, laughter, late-night talks, plans we once made. I told him everything, from the moment Jenny came to me to what Mike had confessed, and how it all traced back to a lie my father started to protect his past. I didn't hold anything back. He deserved to know the full truth. Stan sat quietly, listening carefully. His face was a mix of shock, pain, and disbelief. I can't believe they did that to you. To us, he said finally, shaking his head. That's unbelievable. I want to make things right, I said, reaching out across the table. I want us to be together again, if you'll let me. He looked down for a moment, then reached out and gently held my hand. It's going to take time, he said softly, but I'm willing to try. We knew there was still one more thing we needed to know, the truth about whether or not Stan and I were related. It was a heavy thought, one that lingered in both our minds. So together, we decided to take a sibling DNA test. The waiting period was one of the most difficult times of our lives. We tried to be strong, spending time together, talking more, slowly rebuilding the trust that had been shattered. But the question hovered over us. What if we were half-siblings? What would that mean for us? Finally, the results arrived. We sat together in his living room, the envelope between us. My hands shook as I opened it, and I felt Stan's fingers tighten around mine. The results were clear. Negative. Stan wasn't my half-brother. I let out a breath I didn't even realize I had been holding. Tears spilled from my eyes as I looked at him. Relief flooded through me like a wave. I'm so glad, I whispered, unable to hold back the emotion. Stan pulled me into his arms and held me tightly. We can finally move on, he whispered back. It didn't magically erase all the pain, but it gave us a fresh start, a real one. Rebuilding our trust and love wasn't easy, but we were both committed. We spent more time together, talking honestly, laughing again, sharing our hopes and dreams like we used to. Every moment felt like a step toward healing. And this time, it was just the two of us. No lies, no secrets, just the truth and the love we were finally able to fight for. Stan and I slowly began to rebuild what we had lost. We took things one day at a time, going on quiet dates, sharing meals together, walking hand in hand like we used to. We laughed at the same old jokes, remembering the silly things we once found so funny. It wasn't always easy. The past still lingered like a shadow, but little by little, the wounds began to heal. One evening, we were walking through the park just as the sun was starting to set. The sky was painted with soft colors, and the world felt calm. We had just shared ice cream and were talking about nothing in particular, when Stan suddenly stopped walking. He turned to face me, his eyes serious but full of warmth. Emily, he said gently, I love you. Despite everything that's happened, I still believe in us. I want to spend my life with you. Will you marry me? For a second, I couldn't speak. My heart was pounding with joy. My eyes filled with tears as I looked at him. The man who had been through so much with me and still stood there, full of love. "Yes, Stan," I said, my voice full of emotion. "I will." Planning the wedding brought a mixture of feelings. I should have been full of excitement, but there was a sadness too, a heaviness in my heart. I knew I couldn't invite my parents or my sister. Their betrayal had been too deep, too painful. I couldn't pretend everything was okay just for the sake of appearances. Stan supported me completely. He held my hand and said, "This day is about us. We don't need their negativity. We'll surround ourselves with people who truly care." We chose a small but beautiful venue by the lake. It was peaceful, surrounded by tall trees and calm water. The moment we saw it, we knew it was the right place. We wanted something intimate, something that felt like a celebration of love, not a performance. The only family member I chose to invite was my brother, Mike. He had been part of the lie that tore Stan and me apart, but he had also been the one to come forward and tell me the truth. That took courage, and for that, I was grateful. When he offered to walk me down the aisle, I accepted without hesitation. The wedding day arrived, and it was perfect in every way. The sun was shining, and a soft breeze moved gently through the trees. As I stood with Mike at the edge of the aisle, my heart was calm. I felt peace, a kind I hadn't felt in a long time. Walking down the aisle with my brother beside me, I looked ahead and saw Stan waiting at the altar. His eyes were locked on mine, full of love and hope. In that moment, everything else faded away. "I can't believe we made it here," he said softly, smiling as I reached him. "We did," I replied, tears threatening to spill. "And I'm so glad." Our vows were simple, but heartfelt. We promised to love each other without conditions, to always be honest, and to never stop believing in the bond we shared. When we exchanged rings, I felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. We had been given a second chance, and we weren't going to waste it. After the ceremony, we celebrated with our closest friends and a few supportive relatives. The air was filled with laughter, clinking glasses, and music. People danced, toasted to our future, and smiled knowing how far we had come. The happiness was real, and everyone could see how much we loved each other. As the night drew to a close, fireworks lit up the sky above the lake. Bursts of color reflected on the water, and I stood there holding Stan's hand, watching the display with a full heart. It felt like a symbol, a bright, beautiful future breaking through the darkness of our past. Letting go of my parents and sister had been one of the hardest decisions of my life. There were moments when I still questioned it, when I wondered if things could ever be different. But I knew deep down that their betrayal had crossed a line I couldn't ignore. I had to protect my peace, my heart, and the life Stan and I were building together. Our journey had been painful, but it had also shown us the strength of our love. And in that strength, we found our way back to each other, stronger, wiser, and more united than ever. After the wedding, I knew there was one more thing I needed. To do Ninar say goodbye to the people who had once meant everything to me, but had caused so much pain. I sat down and wrote a letter to my parents and to Jenny. It wasn't easy. Every word felt heavy, but I knew I had to be honest. In the letter, I explained my decision. I told them that while I wished them well, I could no longer have them in my life. Their lies had broken something that couldn't be repaired. I needed peace, and I needed to protect the life Stan and I were building. Letting them go was painful, but it was necessary. The only family member I kept close was Mike. Even though he had been part of the lie, he had been brave enough to come forward and tell me the truth. That meant everything to me. He had proven that his loyalty was real. Over time, our bond grew stronger. He stood by me and supported Stan and me in every way he could. I saw how truly happy he was for us, and that made me appreciate his presence even more. As Stan and I settled into our new life together, I found myself thinking often about everything we had been through. The heartbreak, the lies, the confusion, and all of it had led us to this moment. Our love had been tested in ways I never imagined, but we had made it through. And not only had we survived, we had come out stronger, more connected, and more sure of each other than ever before. We found a cozy little house near the lake, a quiet place where we could build our future. It was peaceful, surrounded by trees and water, a perfect place to begin again. We spent our days making plans, decorating our home, and dreaming about the future. We talked about starting a family, about the kind of parents we wanted to be, and how we would create happy memories that would fill our home with love and joy. Looking back, I realized how much I had learned. Trust and love, those were the true foundations of any strong relationship. The betrayal from my family had been heartbreaking, but it taught me the importance of honesty. Lies can destroy so much, even among the people you think you know best. But through all that pain, I also discovered the power of true love and forgiveness. Stan and I had been torn apart, yet somehow, we found our way back. That was no small thing. It showed me that love, when it's real, can survive even the darkest storms. As we moved forward, I felt hopeful. I knew that life would still have challenges, but I also knew we could face anything, as long as we had each other. Yes, our journey hadn't been easy, but it had brought us here. And for that, I would always be grateful.